The Infinite Jim, Laughing, Loving, and Living Beyond the Mask, by David Russo. Journey of Laughter, Manifestation, and Becoming Your True Self. Disclaimer: this book is a work of nonfiction commentary and inspiration, based on public figures and public events. Some creative interpretation has been used for illustrative purposes. Introduction: The Infinite Jim. If you've ever laughed until your cheeks hurt at a Jim Carrey movie, you know the power of his presence. But here's a secret. The Jim we see on screen, the manic gestures, the wild voices, the rubber face antics, is only a doorway. Behind it lives something far more interesting. A human being on a journey of discovery, play, and transformation. This book isn't a biography in the traditional sense, nor is it gossip about who was or wasn't at an award show. It's a map, a playful, spiritual, and sometimes absurd map showing how we, like Jim, can step into different versions of ourselves, shed the masks we no longer need, and learn to laugh through the chaos of life. Jim Carrey is famous for making us laugh, but he's also quietly making us think. His journey from outrageous comedy to deep, spiritual exploration reminds us that life isn't just about applause, fame, or money, though he once wrote himself a $10 million check while struggling, purely for fun and manifestation. A move both hilarious and inspiring. It's about connecting to joy, uncovering the self beneath the masks we wear, and daring to live fully. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore the dance between identity and persona, the magic of intention, and the freedom that comes when we stop being afraid of who the world thinks we are. We'll laugh, we'll wonder, and we'll even question reality. A little, because isn't that exactly what Jim would do? So, get ready. Let's meet the infinite version of Jim Carrey, not just the actor, not just the comedian, but the guide to laughter, love, and the limitless possibilities hiding inside all of us. Chapter 1. The Mask We Wear. Every day, we walk around wearing a mask, not the funny, rubber-faced kind Jim Carrey made famous, but the kind that tells the world who we think we should be, the polite, confident, successful, or funny enough version of ourselves, the one that gets applause, likes, or approval. But here's the truth: that mask, no matter how convincing, isn't the whole story. It's a costume we choose to wear, and like any costume, it can be taken off. Jim Carrey has made a career out of masks, literally. From Ace Ventura's ridiculous expressions to the eternal smile of The Truman Show, he taught us that a mask can reveal more about the soul than it hides. Behind each performance is a person experimenting with identity, pushing boundaries, and saying, "I am bigger than what you see." And that's exactly what we can do in our own lives. Think about it. When you step into a role, whether at work, with friends, or even on social media, you're performing, you're showing a version of yourself, and that's okay. The magic happens when you realize the performer and the self behind the mask are one and the same, just waiting to be discovered. In this chapter, we'll explore how to recognize our own masks, honor them, and gently step beyond them, because the day we stop being afraid to reveal the real us is the day we finally start to laugh, not just at the world, but at ourselves. And as Jim Carrey shows, laughter isn't superficial, it's transformative. It's a spiritual practice disguised as a punchline, a bridge between the persona we show the world and the infinite self that's always been there. So let's dive in. Let's pull off the masks we've been wearing and see what's underneath. Spoiler alert: it's going to be messy, magical, and a lot funnier than we ever imagined. Chapter 2. Comedy as Spiritual Practice. Laughter isn't just something that happens when a banana peel meets a foot, it's a superpower. And Jim Carrey, whether we realized it at the time or not, has been handing us a master class in it for decades. Comedy isn't just entertainment, it's a spiritual practice disguised as absurdity. Every wild face, every ridiculous voice, every exaggerated gesture is a lesson in letting go, in breaking free from the seriousness that keeps us trapped. Think about it. When was the last time you laughed so hard your stomach hurt? In that moment, nothing else matters. Bills, deadlines, expectations, they all vanish. That is the spiritual punchline: presence. Being fully alive, fully in the moment, fully yourself. Jim's characters, whether it's the hyperactive Ace Ventura, the melancholic Truman, or the heart on his sleeve, Charlie are constant reminders that life is meant to be played with. Spiritual teachers often talk about letting go of ego, surrendering control, or embracing the present. Jim does the same thing, just with more facial contortions. And here's the kicker: when we laugh, we practice all of these spiritual principles without even realizing it. Humor dissolves fear. It softens the rigid structures we build around ourselves. It reminds us that life doesn't have to be perfect to be miraculous. In this chapter, we'll explore how to see humor as more than a reaction. It's a tool, a path to self-discovery, a bridge to the infinite self behind the mask. And yes, we'll do it while laughing at the ridiculousness of it all. Because if Jim Carrey has taught us anything, it's that the universe is absurd, life is messy, and the secret to happiness might just be a well-timed pratfall. So get ready to embrace the spiritual side of silliness. It's going to be messy, it's going to be playful, and, if you allow it, it just might change the way you see yourself and the world forever. Chapter 3. The $10 million check to himself. Imagine writing yourself a check for $10 million before you have $10 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what Jim Carrey did. But this wasn't just a publicity stunt or a quirky celebrity story. It was a masterclass in manifestation, intention, and playful faith. He wrote the check, dated it for the future, and carried it in his wallet as a reminder that the life he dreamed of already existed, if only he could believe it. This is where the magic of Jim's approach comes in. Most of us wait for life to hand us opportunity, money, or recognition. We sit and hope. Jim's lesson: don't wait, act as if. Play the game of life with boldness, imagination, and, yes, a little ridiculousness, because the universe responds not just to your actions, but to your energy. When you act with intention and a sense of fun, you signal that you are ready to receive. The $10 million check is more than a joke. It's a spiritual exercise. It's about visualizing abundance, not just for material gain, but for the richness of experience, creativity, and connection. Jim combined imagination with action. He kept working, kept performing, and kept showing up. And in that space between intention and reality, magic happened. The check became real. The dream became lived experience. In this chapter, we'll explore how you can create your own checks to yourself. Symbolic acts of faith and intention that remind you of the life you want. We'll laugh at the absurdity of it, because if you can't enjoy the process, what's the point? And we'll uncover the deeper truth. Manifesting isn't about control. It's about alignment, about trusting that the infinite self inside you already knows the way. So grab your metaphorical pen, write your own check to yourself, date it boldly, sign it with a smile, and watch what happens when belief meets playfulness, when imagination meets action, and when the universe can't help but respond to your laughter. Chapter 4. Money, Fame, and the Illusion of Identity. Fame is funny. One moment, you're unknown, struggling to pay rent and wondering if anyone will ever notice your work. The next, you're on magazine covers, award shows, and the internet is buzzing about you 24/7. Jim Carrey knows this better than most. He went from living in a tiny apartment barely affording food to becoming one of the biggest comedy stars in the world. And yet, even in the spotlight, he discovered something surprising. Fame is an illusion, and money, no matter how many zeros, cannot define your true self. When we chase approval, likes, or applause, we're putting our identity in someone else's hands. Jim's journey shows us that you can have all the money, awards, and attention in the world and still feel like an imposter, or worse, like you've lost yourself. The real challenge in achieving success, it's staying connected to the infinite self beneath the public persona. That's where spirituality and self-awareness come in. Jim's approach was playful but profound. He learned to separate Jim Carrey the character from Jim Carrey the human being. One is what the world sees. The other is what exists beyond the glare of fame and the weight of expectation. This separation isn't about ego or arrogance. It's about freedom. It's about realizing you are not your bank account, your roles, or even your biggest hits. You are the consciousness experiencing it all, the laughter, the tears, and the ridiculous dance in between. In this chapter, we'll explore how to navigate the illusions of money and fame without losing yourself, how to enjoy abundance while remembering that the ultimate wealth is joy, presence, and authenticity. And yes, we'll laugh at the absurdity along the way, because if Jim Carrey has taught us anything, it's that life is far too strange and too short to take seriously. So, let's pull back the curtain, peek behind the spotlight, and remember, the real treasure isn't in what people see, it's in who you are when no one is watching. Chapter 5: Spiritual Awakening in Hollywood. Hollywood is a circus, a playground, and sometimes a trap. Bright lights, flashing cameras, and endless applause can make anyone forget who they really are. But for Jim Carrey, the glitz wasn't just a stage, it was a mirror. And mirrors, as he discovered, show you more than just your reflection. They show what's hiding beneath the surface. After decades of making us laugh, Jim began exploring life in a different way. Meditation, mindfulness, and spiritual inquiry became part of his daily practice. He started asking bigger questions. Who am I beyond the fame, beyond the movies, beyond the masks I wear? His journey reminds us that spirituality isn't about escaping the world. It's about engaging with it fully, seeing the absurdity, the beauty, and the mystery all at once. What's fascinating about Jim's evolution is that it didn't erase his humor, it amplified it. Spiritual awakening doesn't mean being serious all the time. It means seeing the sacred in the silly, the eternal in the everyday. Jim Carrey shows us that the same creativity and playfulness that make us laugh can also open doors to profound insight. Laughter and spiritual insight are not opposites, they are partners, teaching us to release attachment and embrace freedom. In this chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate spiritual awareness while navigating a world that constantly demands performance, how to honor your inner self while still playing your roles with joy and authenticity, and we'll discover how embracing both the comic and the cosmic aspects of life creates a balance that's as liberating as it is hilarious. Jim Carrey's path is a reminder that awakening isn't a destination, it's a playful experiment, and in Hollywood, the city of illusions, finding your infinite self is the ultimate punchline. Chapter 6: The Great Jim Carrey Conspiracy. Have you ever scrolled through social media and paused at a photo or video thinking, wait, was that really him? Lately, whispers have floated online suggesting that Jim Carrey wasn't exactly present at certain public appearances. Now, before we dive into the rabbit hole of conspiracies, let's pause and ask a bigger question. Does it matter if it was him or if it was a version of him? This chapter isn't about proving or disproving rumors, it's about exploring what it means to exist in multiple forms. Jim Carrey, like all of us, presents different selves to the world: the actor, the comedian, the spiritual seeker, the public persona, and the private human being. Each version serves a purpose, but none is the totality of who he or you really is. If a version of Jim walks on stage, it may be a reflection of the infinite self, a symbol, or even just a playful reminder that identity is fluid. Here's the spiritual takeaway: the world is full of illusions, and we often mistake appearances for reality. Whether it's a celebrity, a friend, or even our own self-image, the mask we see is not always the soul behind it. Jim's conspiracy is really a metaphor. Life itself is a stage, and we can choose how we show up. The question isn't who is that, it's who do I choose to be today. In this chapter, we'll explore how to navigate the mystery of perception and identity with humor, curiosity, and grace, how to laugh at the absurdity of life while still honoring your inner truth, and how to recognize that, just like Jim Carrey, we all have infinite selves, each one a mask, a lesson, a moment of playful freedom waiting to be expressed. Because at the end of the day, the greatest conspiracy of all may be the one we play on ourselves, believing that we are fixed, limited, or defined by the roles we've worn. And that, my friend, is a joke worth laughing at. Chapter 7: Living Beyond the Mask. We all wear masks. Some are small, a polite smile, a confident tone. Some are enormous, a carefully curated image. On social media, or a persona we think the world expects. Jim Carrey has spent his life experimenting with masks, stretching them, pulling funny faces, and sometimes tearing them off entirely. And the lesson is clear: masks are useful, but they are not who we are. Living beyond the mask means recognizing that your true self isn't defined by roles, opinions, or the applause of others. It's the part of you that quietly observes, that laughs at absurdity, and that knows it is infinite. Jim's journey reminds us that stepping beyond the mask is not a rejection of humor or fun. It's an embrace of authenticity. The funniest, wildest, most outrageous moments often come when we stop trying to impress and start simply being. In practical terms, living beyond the mask can be as simple as noticing when you are performing rather than experiencing, when you catch yourself acting out of fear, obligation, or expectation. Pause, take a breath, ask, am I showing the world who I am or who I think I should be? From that space, choices arise. You can choose authenticity, playfulness, and courage. You can step into the version of yourself that feels alive, creative, and limitless. Jim Carrey's life is a testament to this truth. He has shown us that we don't have to be one thing or fit one mold. We can be the comedian, the thinker, the dreamer, the spiritual seeker all at once. And the moment we stop clinging to the mask is the moment we start truly living. In this chapter, we'll explore practical ways to experiment with authenticity, embrace imperfection, and let your infinite self shine. And yes, we'll do it with a sense of play, because as Jim proves again and again, life is far too strange to take seriously and far too precious not to laugh at. Chapter 8. Laughter as Liberation. Laughter is more than a reaction, it's a revolution. When we laugh, we break invisible chains. Even if just for a moment, Jim Carrey has spent a lifetime teaching this lesson, sometimes without words, sometimes with faces so ridiculous they defy gravity and reason. But behind the antics lies a deeper truth. Laughter is a form of liberation, a spiritual practice disguised as absurdity. Think about it. When was the last time you laughed so fully that the world outside seemed to disappear? That's not just fun, that's freedom. Laughter dissolves tension, opens the heart, and reminds us that the universe is far stranger, funnier, and more miraculous than our minds can often comprehend. Jim Carrey's humor isn't merely entertainment, it's an invitation to step out of fear, self-doubt, and rigidity, and into presence, joy, and curiosity. Liberation through laughter doesn't require a stage or a camera, it begins inside you. You can laugh at mistakes, at awkward moments, at the absurdity of life itself. You can embrace the ridiculousness of being human and realize that no failure, no judgment, and no expectation can touch the part of you that is alive, playful, and infinite. In essence, to laugh is to reclaim your soul from the pressure of the world. In this chapter, we'll explore how to use humor as a spiritual tool, laughing at yourself, at life's surprises, and at the masks everyone wears. We'll see that liberation isn't about escaping reality, it's about engaging with it fully, with a light heart and a wide open mind. Jim Carrey's journey reminds us that joy, absurdity, and freedom are inseparable, and that a hearty laugh can sometimes be the most profound spiritual act of all. So let's take a deep breath, let go of seriousness, and embrace the power of laughter not just as a momentary pleasure, but as a path to liberation, presence, and infinite possibility. Chapter 9. Manifestation with a Smile. Manifestation often sounds serious, like you need a crystal, a vision board, or a 3-step plan to get what you want. But Jim Carrey shows us that manifestation works best when it's playful, bold, and full of laughter. Remember the $10 million check? That wasn't just a gimmick. It was a master class in creating your reality with imagination, intention, and joy. The secret ingredient: smiling while you do it. Manifestation isn't about controlling life. It's about aligning yourself with possibility. When you act as if what you desire already exists, when you feel it in your bones, and when you approach it with a light heart, the universe begins to respond. Jim's approach was never stiff or rigid. He played, imagined, and trusted in the process, even in the midst of doubt or struggle. And that trust, combined with playfulness, became the engine for incredible transformation. In this chapter, we'll explore practical ways to manifest with joy, writing your own symbolic checks, visualizing your dreams with humor and presence, and embracing the playful absurdity of it all. we'll see that laughter doesn't undermine manifestation, it amplifies it. Because when your energy is light, expansive, and joyful, you're not just asking for abundance, you're inviting it to flow naturally into your life. Jim Carrey teaches us that the act of creating your reality doesn't have to be serious, stressful, or rigid. It can and should be fun. A grin, a giggle, a playful leap into the unknown. These are the tools of the spiritual magician. Manifestation with a smile is about trusting yourself, the process, and the infinite possibilities that life offers. And when you approach life this way, miracles aren't just possible, they're inevitable. So grab your invisible pen, write your playful check to the universe, and smile. Because the path to your dreams doesn't have to be solemn, it can be joyous, absurd, and wildly liberating. Chapter 10. Returning to your infinite self. All the masks, all the laughter, all the checks written to the universe, they lead to the same place. Your infinite self. This is the part of you that exists beyond expectation, beyond performance, beyond the applause of the world. Jim Carrey's journey from comedic genius to spiritual seeker reminds us that presence, joy, and authenticity, not destinations. They are states of being we can return to again and again. Returning to your infinite self means remembering that you are not your roles, your failures, or even your successes. You are the consciousness experiencing life, the playful observer, the curious experimenter, the soul laughing at the absurdity of it all. Just as Jim has shown us through his films, his public appearances, and even his private explorations. The world may try to define you, but your essence is boundless. You can step into different versions of yourself at any moment, and each version is a doorway to freedom. In practical terms, this return is a daily practice. It's noticing when you've slipped into fear or expectation, breathing, and choosing presence. It's laughing at the masks you've worn, playing with possibilities, and trusting that the infinite you is already here, always ready to express itself. It's remembering that life is both miraculous and absurd, and that embracing both is the true path to liberation. Jim Carrey's story isn't just about one man, it's about all of us. It's a playful invitation to live fully, love freely, and reclaim the part of ourselves we've been too cautious to explore. The infinite self is not somewhere in the future, it's here, now, waiting for you to step into it with courage, joy, and a smile. So as we close this chapter and this book, take a moment to laugh, to breathe, and to honor the boundless, playful, and infinite being that you already are. Because the greatest adventure out there in the world, it's inside you, ready to be lived, loved, and celebrated. Conclusion: laugh, love, become. We've laughed, we've wondered, we've peeked behind the masks, and now it's time to take a final bow, but not just for Jim Carrey. This bow is for you, for the infinite self that exists behind every role you've ever played, every expectation you've carried, and every mask you've worn. Life is both absurd and miraculous, and the journey through humor, manifestation, and self-discovery is a reminder that the most important role you'll ever play is yourself. Jim Carrey's story shows us that the world may try to define us, but we are not limited by appearances, fame, or even our own doubts. We can choose to step into joy, creativity, and the playful essence of who we are at any moment. Every laugh, every imaginative leap, every heartfelt act of courage is a step toward freedom. And the best part, you don't have to wait for permission, a movie contract, or even a $10 million check. You can begin right now. As you close this audiobook, take with you the lessons of the masks, the absurdity, and the infinite possibilities. Laugh when life gets heavy. Manifest boldly, even with a grin. Explore your identity with curiosity, playfulness, and a fearless heart. And above all, remember that the infinite self is always with you, waiting, ready, and joyful. So go ahead, step into your own stage, dance with life, laugh loudly, love freely, and become the limitless, radiant, and playful being you are always meant to be. After all, if Jim Carrey can remind the world of the joy, absurdity, and magic of existence, imagine what you can do when you fully return to yourself.